Greetings, everybody. Today is the 23rd of May, 2026. It is Saturday. I had to work today, but it's still not that late. It's 1:40. I didn't have to work all day, so that was pretty good. Unfortunately, anyway, I couldn't start earlier. I would have been done a lot earlier. But did I say what time it was? It's 1:40 in the afternoon, and it's a beautiful day here in Minsk, as you all see. And I'm only going to be talking mostly about two different things. A little bit about what's happening with in the United States with the release of Tulsi Gabbard. Well, she resigned supposedly. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about this attack by Ukraine that killed a whole bunch of school kids. And I think they're still going through the rubble right now. So how do I do this with the sun not silhouetting me anyway? So I'll just walk down this way. As you see, I'm in a beautiful place here too. Pershemaiskaya. I did want to record in a different area, but it was a little bit chancy, you know, getting off a bus and all that sort of thing. So I'll get it going here. So many would think in the United States especially that the big story is the resignation of Tulsi Gabbard, but it may not be really a resignation. Well, maybe it is, but it was, according to Steve Bannon, that she was fired. And maybe he means she was pushed out and made to resign. See, it's not like in Belarus or Russia or some places where you might actually get fired, or China or other countries. In the United States, you're just made to resign. Everything is there for appearances. You have to make it look like nobody was stealing any money or anything like that, because they're all honest in America, and they're only dishonest in other countries, and they only do bad things in other countries, but never in America. So people are made to resign, things like that. Or maybe they just cover up the stolen money, or they divvy it up amongst each other. You see what's happening in the European Union now. The Americans are sending the weapons, and you know, there's a huge amount of stealing going on. You guys all know that. A lot of the big people are getting a lot of money, but we are probably never going to find out about it unless it's about Ukraine. They have the Naboo over there, and there's so many people implicated, and there's so many people that are in it. It makes you really wonder, those that don't get caught or that nobody's talking about, they must be paying some high stakes, a lot of money to a lot of people, because, as they say, everybody's got their price. But I wasn't even going to be talking about that. So anyway, let's say what's going on here. Tulsi Gabbard resigned, and she said it was because of her husband having bone cancer. I guess some sort of a rare form of bone cancer. And apparently they have a very good marriage and all that. So you know, it's not like some of these other people, Clintons or something like that, where you don't really know what's going on, or even the Trumps. So, but this is, I guess, actually something very legit. So, I mean, at least the wedding is, and of course that he does have the cancer. And she said to spend time with him, and it's not, I think there's a way to treat it. But like I said, I'm not a doctor, so we'll see what happens there. Steve Bannon said this is a hostile takeover by Radcliffe, you know, the head of the CIA, and the Mossad, and I would believe that. Steve Bannon actually gets some good information, so that could be very well true. And that she was there only on borrowed time. And I guess for Nick Fuentes, I guess you can give him credit in a way. He said that she would be the first to go, but you know, Donald Trump has released a lot of people. Remember this, what's his name? I keep wanting to say Ted. But anyway, some other guy that was intelligence, a young guy. And now the name slips me. You know, as soon as the camera comes on, you know, that's how that works out. And yeah, let's see. But the biggest news, I'll get right into that, is that Ukraine attacked a school. And of course, it's maybe they saw what Israel did, and Israel was able to kill, what was it, 100 and the number keeps changing. but I'm guessing that it's around 170 kids. Some people put it higher, some people put it a little bit lower. I don't know. And that was kids, and then of course there are teachers that they killed in that Minob attack as well, and that was some weeks ago. And you know, the United States has bombed some schools and things like that. Well, they're the ones that bombed Minab. Did I say it was Israel? It was the United States on that one. But the United States has bombed schools and things in Iraq back in those days, and I'm sure probably Kosovo. And a lot of time they probably got away with it, you know. But Israel does it on a, I don't know, a weekly basis in Gaza or in Lebanon. So it's nothing new for them. And it's just, I guess, right on the heels. I think it was yesterday when there was Israel, you know, bombed, I think with a drone or something, or shot up. I'm not exactly even sure. But anyway, there was a father and his child that were injured from a drone attack by Israel. And medics were called, and so some medics showed up, and then Israel bombed them. You know, but that's the double tap thing. And I guess what happened here with this thing in that Ukraine did, bombing this school, I guess they're not really young girls or children. I guess they are maybe some teenagers. I guess they did a triple tap. They bombed it 3 times. So I guess, you know, the United States bombed Minob, you know, with a double tap. And, you know, both, you know, these countries, they're all like that. These 3, the United States, Ukraine, and Israel, they love the double tap, and they love, apparently, even the United States, they love killing children. And I was in a part of a podcast, as some of you may remember, some years ago, and we were doing it from Minsk here, and I was talking about, you know, all of these kids that are dying in Gaza, and I was saying that 2000, I think it was 2024, I was saying, you know, that was the year of the war on children. And then of course they carried this on through 2025, and now here we are in 2026, and maybe it's a bigger war against children now. In the old days, you know, they didn't bomb and kill children, but you know, you see these 3 countries, Israel, United States, and Ukraine, you know, children are not off limits for them. In fact, they probably would rather do that. And if you can realize or remember, I was talking before about Kaya Kallas. Kaya Kallas, she is on record, she's on video, and in English, saying, I believe that was in English. See, this is a while ago, so I'm kind of losing count on this, if it was in English. But she put out that, she said, I don't know exactly, remember who she means, we. Maybe she means the European Union, and of course Ukraine. But she said, we need to kill more Russian children. And those were the words out of her mouth. As a matter of fact, now I'm remembering it was in English. And that is exactly what she said. We need to kill more Russian children. And as you all know, that this was starting out as a project, this whole thing, mostly by the United States, at least the money of the United States. But a lot of these countries, they are out to get Russia. They want to destroy Russia. And of course, they're talking about that again now in Russia. They're bringing this up again. And Lavrov is saying that this war is going to be taking on a new dimension. And that is not necessarily by the choice of the Russians, but apparently Russia has to react to what the West is doing. And Vladimir Putin and I think other officials in Russia said there will be a military response to Ukraine killing these children. And they're not even sure yet how many children were killed. I heard, I think it was like 148. Maybe I wrote it down here. I should be going by my notes instead of just shooting off my mouth like I'm doing right now. 48 wounded. From one account it said 11 missing and 11 dead, as it is right now. And they have called off on a few occasions the rescue effort, because as I just mentioned, they bombed it 3 times, Ukraine. And Ukraine is putting out that the attack never happened, that it's Russian propaganda. And at this time, Russia is waiting for foreign journalists to come to the site and to verify this. And of course, you can probably find the drones, and maybe they can even tell who actually made those drones. By the way, that's Hotel Beijing behind me. I've been here a few times, this Pershamaiskaya. Well, this is an area walking right here. I actually got off at Proletarskia metro stop, and the next one is Pershamaiskaya, and I'm probably right in the center of the two of them right now. You can walk from one to the other. Kind of a nice walk, and I think there's various ways you can get here and walk along the water, as you see. So let me walk this other direction. This is not going to be a super long video. Okay, and yeah, they're still going through the rubble, and they have a lot of these kids in there showing. Some of this is blurred out so you cannot see, and they're still trying to uncover a lot of these, and they have a little bit of film footage of this. So it's not and it's not really even going to be reported in the West. I guess BBC said they're not going to show up, or was it CNN? Anyway, BBC and CNN will not go. They are not going to go. They refuse to go. I think one of them said, oh, they're on vacation, as if they don't have somebody else, or if it's not an important enough event for anybody to go look at. And I think it was BBC that's refusing to go because it's something about Russia, and they don't want anybody to know this. I should also add something right now, that whenever you hear of deaths, for example, not just children, but any kind of people, from this war that's going on between Ukraine and Russia. So when you have somebody who is on the Russian side, like in Lugansk or Donetsk or Zaporozhye or Kherson, any of these areas that Russia has control of, and if somebody gets killed there, for example, by the Ukrainians, they count that as a Ukrainian death. So when you read the statistics, they make sure that it looks like Russia is killing a lot more civilians than Ukraine is. But there was once a statistic when, that was before Ukraine started bombing even more intensively into old Russia, Russia proper, as well as in these new areas. There was a statistic, and I believe at that time that it was, they were talking, well, this was an accurate statistic back in that time. I think that was like maybe 2 years ago. And that was for every one civilian that may have been killed because of Russian bombings, there was 137 civilians killed by Ukraine. And of course, that number is probably much higher right now. I'm sure that you can put that up to maybe as much as 400 right now, 400 to 1. So for every one person really in Ukraine that perishes by Russian military actions, probably around 400 are getting killed by Ukraine. And that's just a guesstimate from me because the numbers that I quoted you before that were known, that was before, for example, Kursk even. When Russia went in there, when Ukraine went in there, even with a lot of mercenaries from Colombia or anywhere else, and I think a lot of people are starting to get the word, and they are less inclined now to go join up. They have a promise of money and all this sort of thing, then they don't even feed them. And I wouldn't even go to Ukraine for anything. Like I said in some of my last videos, people go there to be a chef. They think they have a job there, like be a chef in a restaurant, and they don't even see the restaurant. They just get nabbed and sent to the front line, whoever these people might be from different countries. So let me get up here. Oh, well, never mind. Some girl with her dog was walking here. There's one back there, and there's one coming. No, but What's up, guy? Poodle here. Yeah. Maybe I can sit down here. They just mowed the grass, but it's I don't think it's gonna leave any grass stains. I don't have that much. Like I said, I'm almost getting towards the end here. Yeah. Or am I? I need another hand. Here, I dropped it. Most people would edit that out. I don't do any editing, as you guys see. You know, if I do something stupid and all that, I just leave it in. You know, it's partly laziness. I think I wrote that into somebody in a comment. Partly laziness and partly because it takes so much time to do all this editing and stuff like that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, but anyway, you got these three countries, and of course, Israel, they openly admit, at least they admit it sometimes. They don't admit it necessarily to a lot of Western press, but they've admitted that they purposefully and gladly kill children. They love killing children, and a lot of them, you see it in podcasts, people, they say they want to kill as many Palestinian children as, and that's their goal, and that is the goal, and that's what they're taught. They're taught to want to kill children. It's sick. It's very sick, and yet, yeah, I guess, but they want us to call them the chosen people or something. Anyway, so, and the United States, as far as their double tap on, you know, they're still trying to find a way to blame Iran. They're trying to find some way, probably to create some fake evidence, to make it look like Iran is the one that bombed that school on the very first day, as if they had time to plan it and cover it up so well, and that they had American Tomahawk missiles, you know, which everybody knows that that's what hit it with. You know, they can't even fire them off. How would they fire off some big missiles like that from Iran, from the direction of wherever the heck the United States shot it from the Emirates, things like that? I don't know. Very sick stuff going on. Yeah. Okay. Already talked about some of this stuff. Hey, maybe I am almost done. That's too bad. I wish I had a lot more time. I'm working so much. You know, like I said, this is my day off. It's not like I get a weekend off. I get a day off, and then you got to work 3 more days. So actually, how it works out is in 7 days. How many days off do I get? Let's see. Let's see, 6, 7, 8 days. I get 2 days off, I think, in like 8 days. 6, 7, and sometimes I have to work on those days too. One of the days as well. So I don't know. It's a lot of work, and mostly the preparation of these things, making these videos is the biggest part. I got so many messages saved, and I can't get into that. I should do like a lot of other people. They make videos and they just make it on 1 or 2 topics, like I just did in this one, and a lot of the other stuff you just leave out. Okay. But another factor you got to think about, I was going to say that in Ukraine, when you hear about like civilian deaths, sometimes they kill civilians when they're trying to recruit them. That has happened. Or they kill, well, it's not a civilian, you know, when they shoot them in the back because they don't want to fight anymore, the Ukrainians. But when they're still a civilian and they try to recruit them, some die of heart attacks, some they actually kill. They just actually kill them, some by mistake and maybe some on purpose. Jeez. And, you know, you see these things where there's these recruiters. Oh, of course, yeah, Zelensky says it's all AI, you know, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of film footage, if you guys don't already know that, of the Ukrainian recruiters going around and grabbing people. I told you about one, didn't I, the other day? They were grabbing some guy off a bus. That's what they do. They go onto buses. They go into movie theaters. They go into gyms. And they used to go with like a couple guys, 2, 3 guys. Now they're going 6, and I think I saw once 8 guys where they're trying to do that. And then some have to like fight off the women, and in one case, like they went into a bus, like I was just going to tell you, And they were taking a guy off the bus, and some guy was maybe trying to protect the other guy. I don't know if it was a friend or brother, maybe just some guy protecting and seeing that this guy's going to be dragged off and sent to the front. And so they grabbed him too, and they grabbed him and threw him in the van because he was kind of a young guy. They grab people that are medically unfit to be going, and they take them anyway. And there are some people that have false limbs, fake, you know, like wooden leg or something like that, and they take them as well, snapping them up. As long as they think that they can hold a rifle and shoot them at Russians, I tell you, really, really some sick stuff. And a lot of people are saying that all of these sick things that Ukraine is doing, like killing children and killing civilians, you know, and bombing, of course, the energy infrastructure is another thing. That they say that Hitler was doing that stuff towards the end. He was getting more and more destructive. I don't know. He destroyed a lot of things. He was doing a scorched earth policy back in those days. But anyway, you have these countries, and I think it's getting really close. It is really getting close. And even though it looks like Berlin, Paris, and London are not going to physically send troops to start shooting at Russians, even though they actually are, I don't know. Germany, I'm not sure. I know that the French have been doing it, and I know that the British, that's been proven. But they're doing it covertly. But I don't know if they would do it overtly. But what they're doing is, of course, they're sending weapons, and they're manufacturing weapons for Ukraine. And now they're even doing it openly. They're saying it openly. So this is really something, and it's going to take on a new perspective for everybody at some point in time, and especially where it's dangerous is the Russians. And a lot of the Russians, as you might have already heard, they're getting kind of pissed off because they don't want this to be running so long. This war is going so long. And Putin could have ended it, and he could end it at any time, but that would mean a lot more Russian lives, in case you guys didn't already figure that one out, because they would have to be doing a lot more dangerous things. And of course, then it would also entail, probably, at least from the Russian side, actually maybe even killing by accident, not on purpose, Ukrainian civilians. So then that number would increase instead of, 1 compared to Ukraine's 400. I don't know. It's really something going on. And some people are even questioning the fact, is Russia actually making all these advancements that they say they are? And people look at the map, and some said, in the past couple of years it hasn't even really changed. Ukraine is a big place, and when you take over this village and that village and things like that, it just is incremental on the map. It's not like they're trying to go to Kiev, and they're not. I guess they have most all of the Donbass is what they wanted. I don't know about, I think Kherson, they wanted a little bit more from that, because that is not taken over, and I think Ukraine is still in control of parts of that, but I don't know. I'm not following most all that stuff. There's so many people talking about that stuff on the internet. You guys could check that out. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. It's not a very long video, and I hope it was at least somewhat informative for you guys. And I've got to do a little bit of shopping, show you the view, at least again one more time. Oh, some pregnant lady over there. Okay, I have to get a few things done. Wish I could talk a little longer. Anyway, I'm tired of working. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining me on this one, and I'll see you next time, whenever that's going to be. Bye for now.